This just in. Breaking news. Our top story tonight. Cryptocurrency markets rally hard with a massive pump across the board. I haven't seen a rally this aggressive since January 6th. Next up, Wait, we're receiving some news here. Amazon denies City AM report that it will accept Bitcoin this year. Ooh, that doesn't sound good for Bitcoin. Let's see what's happening out there in the field.
And it's gone.
Next up, in a recent panel on Bitcoin, Elon Musk dropped a bombshell saying that he does pump, but he doesn't dump. Elon Musk doesn't dump? Sounds like he's full of shit. Also tonight, people are furious that billionaires are headed to space. That looks like a rich asshole. In other news, retired cryptocurrency YouTuber stays retired. He definitely doesn't come back to make more videos. That would be embarrassing. And finally tonight, Rune currency plummets in value as a contract vulnerability is exploited for millions. Unfortunately, that makes this rune the second best rune store of value. All of this and more tonight on Polka News. Welcome to today's video, everyone. Thank you for being here, and we have a bunch of great topics we're going to jump into and talk about. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit about making this video today and the channel and what's going on, because I know in the past I said, hey guys, this is the last video I'm ever going to make, and then I'm making a video today, so obviously I was lying before. I didn't realize it at the time though. That video was 16 months ago, and some time has passed since then, but really, the problem that I had with making some of this content was it was so cyclical that when the markets would crash, oftentimes people wouldn't care and watch the content. And when I was making these videos, I was making them full time constantly, and that was a bit too much for me to bank on in terms of the viewership for the content. So I've got a new game plan moving forward. The plan is simple. Make videos when I feel like making them. No promises. I don't know how many. Could be a bunch, there could be none. Let's just enjoy the moment when I do decide to post them. And if you want to see more of them, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I post these videos. I will say though that it is good for you that I'm back, because now I can give you more of my 5-star slam dunk absolute guaranteed cryptocurrencies to make you rich. Today we're going to be talking about Luxcoin, which is a current up and coming currency that I think has a lot of potential. But damn it. Can we all just pretend that didn't happen? Unfortunately, my money knows it happened because it never came home. And finally, before we jump into things today, I want to let you know that I recently did a podcast on Bitcoin with a very good friend of mine, Jason Les, the CEO of Riot Blockchain. In that conversation with Jason, we talk everything Bitcoin, where things are at, the development of Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining, what happened with the China ban, how much development is actually happening on the Bitcoin network, and plenty of other topics as well. Even if you're not that interested in Bitcoin, I'm going to be talking about plenty of other currencies as well. We're going to have a bunch of other guests on. In fact, I'm going to have Mike McDonald on in the near future to talk about NFTs and CryptoPunks. I'm sure we're going to talk about plenty of other things as well. So if you'd like to follow the podcast, there's a link in the description below. You can subscribe over there. I'll see you guys for those apps. With that out of the way, let's jump into our top story tonight and talk about Elon Musk in a recent panel that he joined, which featured him, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, Kathy Wood, and Steve Lee. The panel had a discussion for over an hour. I'd highly recommend checking it out if you haven't done so already, where they discussed all kinds of things Bitcoin, and during it, Elon had some statements that people found pretty interesting. One of the most interesting things that Elon Musk said during this interview was that they're going to most likely begin to start accepting Bitcoin again for payments at Tesla. He did say, however, that they need to make sure that Bitcoin is at or above 50% renewable energy before making that decision. So time will tell if it actually does end up coming back. I'm going to have to agree with Elon here that we should be concerned about mining. Mining does create some very complicated issues here on Earth. Issues like Elon Musk. A little backstory there, Elon Musk's father, Errol Musk, is said to have owned a half share in an emerald mine. The theory is that money went to support the family's lavish lifestyle, although Elon Musk does deny some specifics about that story. While it's certainly important to consider the effects that energy consumption might have on the world, it's also important to recognize that Bitcoin only uses 0.1% of the world's electricity. It's not actually that much when you think about it in the scope of everything that's being used, and the trade-off there is for a secure financial system that, at least for me personally, I find extremely valuable. As technology advances, I imagine more and more of Bitcoin's energy consumption will come from renewable sources. I don't know what the exact share is today, but it's safe to say that as technology does help us get there, we will be using more of them. Elon Musk also revealed that he owns Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, and Bitcoin is his largest position. He owns it personally, and several of his companies also own it as well. So he is invested in the success of Bitcoin. He made a comment that he does pump currencies essentially by buying them, but he doesn't dump, meaning that he's saying he's not selling before some of these tweets where he says things that frankly were always going to wreck the price of those assets. On the bright side, if he does decide to dump, it's going to take him 18 months to make it happen. Elon also talked that it would be ironic if the currency that was supposed to be a joke ended up being the currency of the future. And he talked about a bunch of other things as well. I'd recommend checking out the interview if you'd like to learn more about what Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, and Cathie Wood had to say. Moving on, let's talk about billionaires heading to space. You've probably heard about these stories recently. There's been a lot of outrage on the internet. What's new with that one? Talking about billionaires heading to space. Most specifically, we're talking about Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos. There has been a little bit of drama regarding exactly what constitutes going to space. The US recognizes space as anything more than 80 kilometers away from the surface, and Richard Branson went 86, and that would qualify. However, scientists use the line known as the Kármán line as the official boundary, which is 100 kilometers, and Jeff Bezos went 106. Richard Branson claims that he sealed the deal, but really, only Jeff Bezos penetrated space. It looks like a penis. My thoughts? Why is the US using kilometers to measure the official line into outer space? That doesn't seem very American to me. I'd prefer calling it 53 miles, 126 yards, 23 feet, 14 inches, and a can of Bud Light. Anyway, a lot of people have been getting upset about this because, I don't know, they've got keyboards at home. I mean, who cares? Rich people are going to do rich people things. It's been like that for the entire time. Okay, this is not anything new. And if rich people want to spend their money going to space, you can't say, oh, but they could do so much good in the world if they didn't go. It's their money. You don't get to decide, guys. We kind of agreed to this when we did the whole capitalism thing. Or actually the other things too. The communist people, they've got some rich people as well. The point is rich people are going to do rich people things. And sure, we can maybe argue that we should have a more fair, simple tax code that doesn't allow rich people to have these ways out that they might be able to do with double Irish Dutch sandwiches or whatever the hell there is available. Although I think that one got closed. The point of the matter is there's no use in getting upset, guys. Just chill out. Next up, I just want to briefly talk about this rally that we've had recently in all the markets. I frankly think that most people have no goddamn clue what's going to happen, if not almost all people, because big players influence the market extremely heavily. So I'm not going to comment too much on this is why it went up, this is why it went down, this is why I think it's a good or bad time to go long or short or burp, 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 burp. I'm not going to do that, okay? Basically, I try to buy good assets and hold them for the long term. That's my strategy. All right. That's it. There's no triangles. There's no tinfoil hats. I'm not going to tell you about some, Pythagorian theory that gets you some trades that are profitable. I don't know, guys. Just in 10 years from now, Bitcoin's going to be a lot more valuable. You can take that to the bank. And finally tonight, let's talk about this disaster with the Rune currency. If you're not familiar with this, there's been a series of problems with Rune. It's the currency of the chain Thorchain. Basically, the goal of Thorchain is to allow for atomic swap so that people can trade their Bitcoin to Ethereum, essentially cross-chain transactions, which is a cool idea. I've not really liked their online presence, and their website looks a little bit sketchy to me, but the idea is good, and I know some people that are involved with the project that are legitimate people that are working hard. However, there have been some pretty difficult pills to swallow in recent times in terms of what's been happening with their code. There have been 3 different attacks over the last couple of weeks. The first one cost about 5 million, the second one cost about 8 million, and the third has cost an unknown specified number because it happens to users directly via tokens sent to their wallet. I'm not going to lie here, guys. I am not a developer. I don't exactly understand the code, but I've been following some of the conversation online. When Rune was hacked the second time, the hacker left this note saying, could have taken Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever LYC is, Binance coin, BIP20s, if weighted, wanted to teach lesson minimizing damage. Multiple critical issues. 10% VAR bounty would have prevented this. Disable until audits are complete. Audits are not a nice to have, and do not rush code that controls 9 figures. Not a good look there. This actually could have cost them more money, and it ended up not costing it because the hacker had a moral code of ethics and just wanted to teach them a lesson. Although I think he still does have the millions of dollars, but it's about the lesson.
It's about sending a message.
The most recent one was a dropping of the token UniH to ETH addresses holding the ERC20 Thorchain. Essentially, the way that it would work is if you exchanged it on Uniswap by approving it for swapping, the contract would drain your wallet. I didn't really fully understand the implications of having origin.tx in the code here. Apparently, you're supposed to never use that. But luckily and thankfully, I actually have a good friend visiting who is a developer who knows a lot about building an exchange. Let's talk to him about what happened here.
So the contract, or the token contract in the transfer to function checked authorization by using literally in the code it would say tx.origin, but what that means is the very, very first person to begin the transaction, it will only, if it is the right person, it would allow the transfer to occur. The problem is when one contract calls another contract, like you don't do that because contracts can call each other, and so you may not know what's happening. You only want the person who owns something to be the direct person transferring it. So if a hacker puts a function in a token, when you approve it, it does shady stuff and starts trying to transfer tokens in your name. That wouldn't normally work if you use the message sender and not the origin, because the origin is the person being tricked now. And that's like a pretty standard thing to not do. It's like in the documentation to never do that. If you read the Solidity docs, it's not an unknown thing.
So scale 1 to 10, how new is this?
So if this was a recent thing, this is like 10 being noob, in terms of security at least. It became common knowledge a while ago to not do that. But if this is a really old contract, then maybe this predates people noticing this problem. But that's like best case scenario for them, though.
Interesting explanation there. And it was nice of my friend Chris to stop by after fighting the war in Vietnam, or wherever that headband is from, to give us some information about the way that coding works. I also want to say here that Chris is in no way affiliated with Thorchain or Rune in any capacity. He felt that it was necessary to make sure that that was clear. Anyway, that's going to do it here from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was some interesting stories, and we're going to be back at some point. Don't know when, but stay tuned. And if you want more, hit that subscribe button, or you can follow the podcast that I'm doing over on Doug Polk Podcast. All right, guys, that's going to be it. Thanks for tuning in.